All right, good morning, you guys. Today is Tuesday, December 13th, and I'm excited today because today is paint day. So I'm prepping some cars for paint. I've already painted some, and I'll show you guys what I'm doing. Real excited. Always enjoy painting. I don't know what it is. It's just great to see the colors flow onto the car, and just to see that the beginning, right, of making a custom. And so what I've already done is I've painted one of these Carl Edwards Xfinity number 19s. I've painted this number 18 Combat Zone Wrestling Kyle Busch monster car. I painted it with the color shot, little black dress. I told you guys when I first bought the color shot, I wasn't excited about it. Designed in California, made in China, but I'm telling you, I'm really liking it. I almost hate to admit it, but it dries fast. It's a nice color. Sure, it smells a little bit worse than some of the other paints I use, but I just painted it less than an hour ago, and it's almost ready to handle and start putting it back together. But very happy with it, to be honest with you. This is the Rust-Oleum high performance enamel. That's a solid paint. It's one of my favorite go-to black paints, but it takes a little bit longer to dry. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's solid. The nice thing about that is my gloss black paint pen can be used to touch up any spots on it. With the little black dress, it's a little bit more metallic-y, and yeah, it's to touch it up, you almost have to use that paint exactly as opposed to a paint pen. So let's see. So I've got to scrape this and clean this up and paint that. This is an interesting thing. To digress for a minute, Mr. Isaac wanted one of these number 3 Kevin Harvicks. So I'm like, that's interesting. Well, back in 2004, Richard Childress Racing was wanting to use the 3 in a Bud shootout for a special race to honor the late, great Dale Earnhardt, but apparently he and his team and Teresa Earnhardt couldn't come together on a deal, and so it was scrapped at the last minute. Apparently Lionel or Action made a couple promos of this. I don't know how many is a couple, but you can find these sometimes very rare in the 1/24 scale. But he got the decals for me, sent them to me, sent me 2 sets, one for him, one for me, and he wants me to make one for him, a 2004 number 3 GM Goodwrench Kevin Harvick scheme from 2004 promo. Very, very interesting. He sent me a very nice donor car, so I've got that stripped. I actually just got that painted, but very interesting paint scheme. I wasn't sure what exactly was all involved in it, but yeah, that's pretty cool. So I've also got this Dollar General to do. I'll show you where I'm at with that. I've got the first coat on that, and then I was painting this car for Simon. Didn't work out. I'm going to switch it up anyways and go with gold because I painted it with yellow, and I had a little malfunction, whether it's user or the paint can, but the paint kind of came out a little thick. And whenever that happens, it ripples, and I said, forget it, and I put it back in the sauce for starting over again. Basically, it's what you have to do when you screw up a paint job. So what I do after I dip the cars in there and get the wrap that was on there previously from the donor car, get that off. I scrape it clean, and I get it to this point where it's dried overnight. And now I can wire brush it. But if you can see on this guy, if I can get it to focus close up, it's got a lot of little orange spots in there. You see that in the crevices and stuff? And I want to clean that up. I want this clean, and that's part of this wire brushing effort that I go through to get this thing ready for paint, so it's the best paint job I can possibly hope to achieve. So so here's what we do, right? Kind of hold it over here and go to town with this wire brush. Just a cheap wire brush. I bought it as a 3-pack. I think I got it at Home Depot or something. But just go to town with it, cleaning it up, trying to get all residue off of it, shined up for the paint so it adheres to it nicely. I used to not do this step, but I've learned it's a necessary one. Every once in a while, when I wasn't doing it, I would get some paint problems, and so I said, hey, you know what, I'm just going to start cleaning these things up and getting them ready as best as I can. Got some Dappy T keys going in the background, some instrumental music this morning, getting ready for the holidays. It's a nice time of year. My daughter came home from school last night, college, so she's home. Her birthday's coming up, and Christmas, and just a good time with family. Ooh, watch out, Doug. Almost cut myself there. A little too excited, maybe. Alright. So sometimes the paint will build up in these wheel wells, and so it's good to scrape it. And sometimes even the die cast mold is a little rough. And the X-Acto knife, of course it's a used one, is good for smoothing that stuff out. So I like to do that. You know, sometimes it's funny, I think about spiritual things when I'm working on my customs. And I kind of picture sometimes myself being this car. And my fingers and my X-Acto knife and the brush as God's instruments to make me better. See, I was pretty good, but I need God to come in and clean me up. In some areas of my life, just like this car, you know, get cleaned up nice and easy. But some areas, little dark little crevices, need a little bit more attention. And sometimes, you know, I've got to pull out the knife and I've got to cut it out. And it's hard to do. It's time consuming. Takes time, and it might create some heat, might scratch some things, but it's necessary. And so I just think about that sometimes, that certain areas of my life need some more attention than others, and maybe need a little bit more scraping. Might bring a little pain in my life, but it's for my good. Yeah. Think about that from time to time. Life's the little analogy. Yeah, I wonder about your life, right? All of us have room to grow and improve. Love people. Love our neighbor. Not be at odds with our neighbors, classmates, co-workers, family members. And maybe this Christmas it's time to let bygones be bygones, to put things behind you and to forgive. Say, you know what you did to me hurt me, but I'm going to move on. I'm going to forgive you, and I'm going to extend love and compassion instead of bitterness and anger. I encourage you guys to think about that this Christmas, even today. Somebody's hurt you, and just up and forgive them. Not because of them being a good person or even you being a good person, but because God asks us to. And you know, it's funny, bitterness, anger, resentment really holds us back. It holds the person who's doing it back. And I think it's not good, whether it's spiritually or health, your own physical health. It's not good for you to do that. It's not good for us to do that. We need to extend love and kindness, even in the midst of unkindness being extended to us. And to be like Jesus, who loved people, even though they didn't show him love, he loved them in return. That's what he teaches us to do. That's the whole thing of being a Christian, is to not treat people like they treat us, but to treat them the way that we want to be treated, the golden rule. And it's funny, Jesus even goes beyond that and says to love your enemies. Bless them that do good to you. Hate them. Or don't hate them, sorry. Bless them that do good to you. Pray for them that hate you. I mean, yeah, Jesus' teachings were radical. Radical. The Jews were being oppressed by the Romans. And Jesus taught love and submission. Wow. Jews didn't like that. That's why I think inevitably they rebelled against Jesus and took him to the cross. And then they realized what God's purpose was, is that he would die for their sins. All right, so I've cleaned this guy up. I'm pretty happy with it. And sometimes when sometimes the mold is a little soft, and sometimes when I grab it with the pliers, I create a little some marks here. So I sometimes take this file and I'll file that area down just to try to smooth it out some. The paint will fill in some of those holes, but if I can file it down a little bit, just a cheap set of files, metal files, you can get it. Like I said, Home Depot or even Amazon, Harbor Freight, some of these discount tool places come in handy. And now, man, that's pretty much gone. Okay. All right, this guy's ready for paint. Let's go. Let's go. Going to the tried and true Rust-Oleum for this guy. Come over to the paint area. My little paint stand. Using this thing for, guy's been using this thing for a good 10 years, painting cars on it. This box is a mess. You can see, got my candle going to help dissipate the smells. And I also picked up, so I had this Lysol. I was at the Marine Corps Exchange the other day. I saw this Glade apple cinnamon for like $2. Got that. Anything that I can use to help dissipate the smells is a good thing. Coming out a little slow here. So I like to do this area back here and the front, and then of course inside there, but I don't like to do the sides, so I can grab it, flip it over, and now paint this area. It's kind of splattering on me. Not happy about that. The good thing is this paint is allowing me to paint a little thicker than normal. Okay. And if I missed any spots, like I said earlier, I can use my Tester's paint pen to kind of cover that up, trying to look it over. See if I missed any obvious pieces or areas. I don't think I have. So, okay. So that's that. I got my little 12 gauge wire here that I used to lift it off. And I set it now up here on my temporary holding area, drying area I should say, back here with some of these cars. Alright, now I'm not sure how much I can save this lid here, but let me show you what I do. I wish I did it more often. But when I'm done painting, I'll get my little brush, my little paint thinner, and I'll get it in there. Just kind of get some paint thinner in that nozzle. This is about done. So it doesn't clog it up. I started doing this, I don't know, a few months back, and sometimes I forget, but I think this helps extend the life of the nozzle, so when the paint dries it doesn't clog it. But as you saw, it was really coming out really slow. I've had this can for a while, to be honest. I probably had it for over a year. And it's still got paint in it, right? It's one thing I hate to do. I hate to throw away paint. I mean, these cans are like $10 now. $11 now. The high performance enamel, I hate that. I hate inflation. I can understand costs going up a little bit, but that's ridiculous. Okay. So I'm sure the paint has gotten, or the paint thinner has gone down in that hole, and hopefully it's cleaning that guy out a little bit. Actually, I've never done this, but I could put it just gonna set it right there. Not shove it down, but just kind of set it on top of that. Okay. And then ooh, I feel some thickness down in there. I'm wondering if there's a glob of paint in there. Oh my, yes there is. Look at this. Sorry, let me move it up a little bit. So there was a little chunk. There's another little chunk. Oh yeah. Look at that. And I wonder why, why it sprays a little slow. Look at that. Alright, so, lesson learned. Look at this, guys. Holy smokes, look at that. Alright. I'm convincing myself, and I'm hoping I'm convincing you guys after you spray, you want to extend the life of your spray cans and your nozzles, which is really one and the same. Do what I'm doing here with this paint thinner. Get it in here on the outside. Don't force it in, right? Just kind of let it do its thing, right? It takes a few minutes to get in there and eat away at the paint. But yeah, clean this area. Again, don't shove it in that hole. Don't put a pin in there. And then, as you saw, it loosened things up in there. I was able to use my X-Acto knife. And now, it's much cleaner in there. Holy smokes. Beautiful. What I was showing you guys was I was doing it on the outside here to clean off any outside. I hadn't taken this off, these nozzles off before like that. And, you know, they just, as you saw, pop off, and then they kind of just snap back on. Just sit there. Cool. Learn something together. Look at that. Makes a little bit of a mess, but extends the life of this can and saves you money in the long run. Alright. Let me pause for a second here. Alright, let's scrape this off. This is what I had painted earlier that didn't turn out very well. Yeah, this is a mess. This is actually worse than doing the wrap, is trying to get the spray paint off. So if you ever make a custom and it doesn't work out well and you've got to scrape the paint off, it's definitely a different it's a different animal, because it's not the wrap that's professionally applied and which really kind of sticks together and is applied over it. It's like a film almost. This is all just a mess, you know. It's not very clean at all. It's just a goopy mess, this paint that goes in the paint stripper. Yeah. I'd gotten it thicker on this side, and that's why it's nice, a little bit cleaner on this side, because it wasn't so thick. Yeah, what a mess. Alright, I'm not going to bore you guys with this. I'm going to have to scrape this crap off and get it as clean as I can. I'll tell you what, let me try something. Inevitably, when I take it over to the sink and I try to brush it clean, it's a mess. So we'll use this paper towel, this old paper towel, and there you go. It just kind of wipes off. I can feel it getting into my fingers already. Not sure that was smart. Well, I'm going to go wash my hands here, so. Okay. This is more of a do as I say, don't do as I do here. It's not good to get your fingers on this stuff, but I felt I had gotten it on already, so I'm gonna go wash my hands, so I figured I might as well get up close and personal with this stuff. Alright. Alright. Hold on, let me wash this crap off. Alright, I have successfully paused the video and washed my hands and washed this thing off. I'm just going to let it dry now. I don't like to paint it when it's wet or when it's not like fully dry. There's just some wetness in here that I can't really get dry. So just let it sit and air dry for a few hours, and then I'll come back and paint it. But yeah, it's usually what happens when you screw up a paint job. It kind of looks like this, and then once it dries, I'll be able to wire brush it and kind of get the crap out of these crevices and stuff, and then go from there. So, all right, so let's finish with something that's been on my mind. Hold on just a second. All right. You know it's coming, guys. It's Christmas time. You know it's coming. Gonna have to share some spiritual thoughts that God's been working on me. Matthew chapter 2. Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. Wow. So, I like my Bible. It's got cool maps in it. Alright, so this is a map. This is back in days of Abraham. This is kind of showing the journey of Abraham up the Euphrates over to Jerusalem eventually. But if we use this map to talk about the wise men who came to Jerusalem looking for the king, they had seen his star in the east. So this is east, right? So you got present-day Turkey up here. You have Saudi Arabia over here. But right in here, you have what? You have Iraq, Iran. You have, if you keep going east, Pakistan, right? You've got India, China. We don't know. It just says from the east. And I'm guessing it's not like, right there. I'm thinking it's over here. These men saw the star. They identified that this star was indicating something, the birth of a king in Jerusalem or in this area, and they followed, with great expense and great risk to their lives, they traveled all this way to bring gifts to worship him. And how petty I become at times when I complain how far it is for me to go to church, that I've got to get up in the morning and go to church. Oh, brothers and sisters, I struggle with this passage because I compare myself to the wise men. I want to be wise, right? But am I willing to go at great cost and at risk to get to church each Sunday to worship the King? I'm convicted by this passage, and I hope that it draws me closer to the Savior as it does for you guys as well. God bless. Have a Merry Christmas.